Hey everyone, welcome back to Nortman Reviews. We're going through the Age of Apocalypse. We're deep into phase 2, where we look at all the issue number 2s of the books. I only got this is kind of the last one, and I'm doing my best to keep them in order, because there are things that happen in one issue that will affect an issue in another one, more or less, or where they reference it. So I looked up an unofficial guide, and I'm pretty much looking at these in order, but I think they wanted me to wait to show X-Calibre number 2 and 3 and 4 until later, and then read all of them, but it's fine. We're going to read them like this. So here we got Nightcrawler, and his mission is to hook up with Mystique, his mom, and then to go to Avalon to identify and talk to Destiny, who can see the future and bring her back to give Bishop's claims of that this Age of Apocalypse world is not what it should be. See if there's any validity to that, and see if they can't fix it. So, along with Colossus bringing back Ileana, who's like a trans-dimensional teleporter, and then Gambit stealing some of the Enchron crystal that will also do things with reality or something. It's all very convoluted. So, Warren Ellis is the writer. Roger Cruz does a lot of the pencils with Renato Arlum. I'm not really familiar with that. It was a different artist in the first one. Can't remember who it was. But anyways, here we go. So here's Avalon, but it's like burning and people are dying and there's fucking skulls and there's fire everywhere. And this is what happened. There's Destiny. She touched this woman named Switchback, who was ferried into the land, and she was able to escape the harsh reality of Apocalypse's world and come to this place that's supposed to be like a safe haven for everyone, right? But when Destiny touched her, she saw this vision of Avalon burning. So that can't be good, right? So we go back to Manhattan, and there was this this place where they called it what did they call it? The Ghost Dance. And there's a John Proudstar, or Thunderbird, the original one, before he died. And this is the starting point. Like, you go here first, and then you catch a ride that would take you to Antarctica, that then you'd go even further on a different trek with someone until you got to Avalon. So this is the start of it. But now, for some reason, the Madri, who are crazy religious, fanatical, foot soldiers of Apocalypse, they come in and they're blasting up the place. So Thunderbird or Proudstar or whatever, he's fighting him off. But it doesn't go too well for him, and he gets shot by somebody. No idea who this is. No idea. So that's all very sad indeed. So at the end of the last one, Kurt, Nightcrawler here, he jumped on the sub, which came from these guys. And he's with a bunch of others who are trying to make the escape, but they're running out of oxygen, I guess. Air conditioner units blown, no filtration of air movement. We're choking to death. So they're in, some dire straits there. Know what I mean? So he's talking with somebody on the intercom, hey, can someone fucking do something about this? So the captain, and he talked about it's an old ship, and we're trying our best. And they're in a submarine, so they're gonna submerge. What's the word where they go up? Oh God, my brain worked good. So they're going above water so they can get some air. And all these people are having a really hard time with everything. So they finally get to the surface, get the people out of there, but they're having a hard time. The cargo bay doors are closed electronically. They're trying to cut their way in with a cutting torch. But this guy is I think they're dead in there. And but then they see another ship or whatever. They fire a flare because they need help, this crew. So pretty soon, this other ship, that's kind of a cool shot right there. Kind of like that. the submarine and this other ship. And these guys are helping, and they're cutting through back here, and it's the ship is captained by Callisto. Now, I fucking thought Callisto had already shown up in Age of Apocalypse. I thought she showed up in the first issue of Factor X, but they called her something different, so I guess that wasn't her. I thought Toad was part of that little scene too in Factor X, but he showed up in X-Men, so I don't know who the fuck any of those guys were except Pyro. So here's Callisto. And she's talking with the captain. She's like, yeah, you know, your ship sucks, so maybe we can help. And then they get through, and they kick it down, and the people aren't dead. But this guy, no, that's the captain. There's some people alive, some people are dead. Mommy's dead. She won't wake up. That's fucking sad. And this guy's like, where's Darkhold? Because that's, you know, instead of Kurt Wagner, it goes by Darkhold. But he teleported himself out of there. He felt like he had to do it. It was kind of an act of desperation, but he couldn't die in there. His mission was too important. And so he was able to teleport himself above, and now he's just kind of hanging out by himself. But he's exhausted. He didn't even have any energy to go back and try and rescue anybody. So up above, there's this ship who's like monitoring the station, and there's some people. There's Moonstar. There's Proudstar earlier, and then there's Danny Moonstar, and then there's Damask. I don't know who she is really. And then there's Wade Wilson, Deadpool here. They're following Nightcrawler. They want to find out where Avalon is their whole thing. So Damask here, this, you know, she gets on the intercom. She gives a situation report to Apocalypse here. It's kind of just exposition as she tells everybody what's going on with the story. So he's like, cool. Follow them to Avalon, and then you are to kill Avalon. So he doesn't want Avalon to be there. So that's their mission. I have spoken, and then she hears somebody screaming in the background, and Danny Moonstar was like cutting into Wade for some reason, but Damask here, I don't know, this whole scene, what is her name, Damask? Damask? I don't know. But she comes up and, I don't know, then Moonstar, she like has this look like, oh, I was just playing, don't be mad. And she fucking just like murders her right here. And Wade is like, why is all this blood? She's not moving. I guess he can't see. And she's like, because I just killed her and I loved it. Okay, you're very, very evil. I get it. I don't know. This whole section here is just kind of weird. So they go back, and so all the refugees, I guess you want to call them, on the submarine are being uploaded to this boat for Callisto. And he's like, okay, just take good care of them. If we're lucky, we can restore power and head back the way we came. And she has this like look on her face. Says, yeah. So the submarine submerges. I know that word. As this ship goes off. So somehow they're able to collect all their valuables and keep them in one spot here. And they shut this lid, Callisto and her crew, on all the refugees here. And then she's like, okay, everyone topside, I want to be in deeper water before we do the deed. So they leave. Okay. And Nightcrawler is just kind of watching them. He still hasn't revealed himself. Yeah, okay, that's kind of from his point of view as they're walking away. Then he was invisible kind of in the shadows. That's kind of a power of Nightcrawler's that he has. I don't know if it's a mutant power or if it's just a thing he does. But because of his like blue skin and whatever, he can kind of hide in a shadow and be invisible. But he didn't reveal himself when they were rescued, just out of instinct, you know, out of survival. And he says this was an unused ballast tank, and then people are freaking out inside this thing. They were, you know, they're trapped in, and he's trying to open it and he can't. And then it's like the narrator says the ballast tanks open directly into the Atlantic. So all these people that were put into this room, they were just like plunged into the ocean. The water here is too cold to be withstood by unprotected humans. And in a weakened condition, even the strongest of them would have died of cold shock within seconds. So that's what Callisto and her crew were up to. Like, basically, pirates steal from them and murder them. So these guys are like, time passes, drinks are taken, another job well done, and they relax. Like, that's kind of a fucked up situation. But they didn't get Nightcrawler. And then the boat, this is kind of a cool picture. It comes up to this island and talks about how, humans were being killed by the thousands and millions, and like they needed to put the bodies somewhere. So there's a small islands across the Atlantic that they call the atrocity zones. They just dump these dead bodies. I don't know. And I guess they drifted into this area on accident. So, okay. And then it the bodies clog up the propellers. And Callisto's pissed. She's like, who's manning the helm who got stuck in this? Like, me, sort of. And she fucking shoots his ass. I mean, this shot of the ship is pretty cool and it looks epic. I'm like, Roger Cruz at this point was a better artist of just random ships and vehicles than, some of his figure work. So we go back. She shot that guy because that's what people do. But then Nightcrawler's in a fucking vengeful mood. And then she starts she gets on the radio and she's trying to hey, we need to get out of here. But the guy won't answer. But Nightcrawler does. He says, for what you've done, you're all going to die. So I guess he murdered this guy she was talking to. And she gets on the horn for another guy. She's like, hey, someone's attacking us, heads up. But she hears that guy being murdered. Nightcrawler's just fucking murdering these guys one by one, which he can do with his powers. And then he shows up and he's about ready to fuck everybody up, and he does. There's a big fighting, tussling here, I think. Or is that just dead bodies? I don't know. But Callisto knows that she's in trouble. She's trying to be sneaky. He knows where she is. He teleports. She has a gun on him. He has swords in her face. So they're at a bit of a standoff, I guess. I don't know if you can be at a standoff with swords and a gun. She just shoot him. It's gonna die faster than he can stick his swords into her, I would think. One would think. But then out of nowhere, a gun points at Callisto's head and says, leave him alone, leave my son alone. There's Mystique. That's who Nightcrawler was looking for. And there she is. And she saved him. So, there we go. I mean, that's kind of a fucked up thing of killing all those, humans. And then Nightcrawler just kind of going on a murder spree. They kind of went by it pretty fast. Just a few pages. But you only have 4 issues to tell the whole story, so you got to be quick with your storytelling. But not a bad comic. So that's it for this one. We're getting to the end of Phase 2. We'll start up with Phase 3 real soon. What do you think of the issue? Give the video a like, and as always, I will see you on the next video.